Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most powerful things you will ever learn is this: talk to yourself. Not in a way that makes you doubt your sanity, but in a way that reminds you of your value, your strength, and your purpose. Every day your mind is engaged in thousands of thoughts, and many of them are directed inward, toward you. The question is, what are you saying? Are you building yourself up or are you tearing yourself down? Because the truth is, your inner dialogue shapes your destiny. If you constantly speak to yourself in doubt, fear, and criticism, you will live small. You will hesitate, you will retreat, and you will talk yourself out of the very blessings you've been praying for. But when you begin to speak to yourself with truth, with power and with belief, something shifts. You begin to step into a different version of yourself. Not a perfect one, but a confident one, a courageous one, and most importantly, a growing one. Talking to yourself isn't about lying to yourself. It's not about pretending everything is okay when it's not. It's about speaking to your future from a place of faith. It's about saying, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I am on my way. It's about reminding yourself, I've been through worse and I'm still standing. It's looking in the mirror and saying, I am worthy, I am strong, I am enough. Because if you don't speak life into your own soul, the world will speak fear. And if you don't lead your thoughts will mislead you. Your voice becomes the compass. You guide your emotions, your actions, and your energy through the words you tell yourself. And this practice, this daily deliberate act of self-encouragement becomes a habit, a mindset, and eventually a lifestyle. The greatest battles you will ever fight are not out there in the world. They are in your own mind. Every day there is a war between doubt and faith, between fear and courage, between giving up and pushing forward. And you decide the winner by the words you choose. Talk to yourself like someone worth fighting for. Be your own coach, not your own critic. Remind yourself of your growth. Speak about your progress. Tell yourself, I am doing better than I think. I am learning, I am rising, and I am becoming. Speak life into your dreams, even when no one else claps for you. Speak peace over your past and hope into your future. Don't wait for others to validate you. Validate yourself. And remember this, your words don't have to be loud to be powerful. A whisper of truth is stronger than a shout of fear. Speak quietly, but speak consistently. Talk to yourself when you wake up. Talk to yourself when you face doubt. Talk to yourself when you feel alone, because that conversation you're having on the inside, those are the words shaping your confidence, your choices, and your future. So if no one told you today, let me be the first. You are worthy. You have what it takes. You are growing, even in the silence. Talk to yourself like it's your responsibility, because it is. Your destiny depends on the voice you believe. Make sure that voice is yours. The way you talk to yourself forms the way you see yourself. It becomes the blueprint of your identity, the foundation upon which your self-hinge is built. Every day, thousands of thoughts pass through your mind, and among them, the ones that carry the most weight are the ones you say to yourself about yourself. You might not even notice it, but with every quiet whisper of, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, or I always mess things up, you are silently shaping how you view yourself and what you believe you're capable of achieving. You must understand that your self-image is not formed by external achievements or failures alone. It is shaped, molded, and cemented by the internal dialogue you engage in daily. If your inner voice constantly criticizes you, doubts you, and questions your worth, then no amount of praise from others will be able to penetrate the mental barrier you've built. On the other hand, if your self-talk reinforces belief, strength, and purpose, then even in the face of criticism, your identity remains unshaken. Imagine standing in front of a mirror every day and hearing someone speak to you, someone who knows all your fears, all your insecurities, and all your past mistakes. If that person constantly pointed them out, reminded you of them, and used them as reasons why you won't succeed, how would you feel? Probably defeated. But the truth is that voice is not someone else. That person is you. That's why your self-talk is not just important, it's critical, because it's not just what you hear, it's what you believe. Your self-talk is like a looped recording playing in your subconscious. Over time, it programs your beliefs, affects your decisions, and directs your behavior. If you constantly reinforce a message of, "I'm not smart enough," guess what? You will eventually stop trying to learn new things. If you always say, "I'm just not good with people," you'll begin to avoid opportunities for connection. You become what you repeat to yourself. Not overnight, but inevitably. When you talk to yourself with intention, when you replace destructive thoughts with empowering truths, you begin to rewire how you see yourself. You move from being your worst enemy to your greatest ally. Saying, "I am capable, I can handle this," or "I'm learning and growing every day," may feel awkward at first, especially if you're not used to speaking positively to yourself. But just like going to the gym, results come from repetition. It's not about lying to yourself or pretending life is perfect. It's about choosing words that support your growth instead of feeding your fear. It's about becoming aware of your inner critic and retraining it to become your inner coach. When you understand that your self-picture is under construction every single day and your words are the tools, then you'll start choosing those words more carefully. Think about it. How would your life change if you believed the best about yourself? If you saw yourself as strong, valuable, and capable of overcoming challenges? That shift starts with your mouth. It starts with the silent, invisible conversations you have with yourself. The ones no one else hears, but the ones that echo the loudest in your heart. The truth is, people will come and go. Encouragement will fade, but you will always have you. So if you're going to hear a voice every day, make sure it's one that builds you. Make sure it's one that reminds you of your purpose, your resilience, and your worth. Because when you change how you talk to yourself, you change how you see yourself. And when you change how you see yourself, you change what becomes possible. Your mind believes your voice. That is a truth most people overlook. The words you speak to yourself are not simply sounds or random thoughts. They are commands that your subconscious takes seriously. Your mind, especially your subconscious mind, does not filter what you say. It listens and accepts it as fact. Whether you speak hope or fear, confidence or insecurity, belief or doubt, your mind responds accordingly. That's why talking to yourself is not just a motivational idea. It's a neurological reality. You may not always be aware of it, but you're always talking to yourself. Every decision you make, every risk you take, every step forward or backward begins with a conversation in your mind. If you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, not ready, or not worthy, your mind will look for evidence to support that. It will magnify your past mistakes, highlight your flaws, and quietly sabotage your growth. But if you tell yourself you are capable, that you can figure things out, that you are learning and improving, your mind will go to work looking for ways to prove that too. Your voice becomes the filter through which your mind interprets the world. Two people can go through the same situation. One sees opportunity, the other sees failure. The difference often lies not in the situation itself, but in the internal dialogue that surrounds it. If you speak defeat before you even begin, your brain registers that as a reason to hold back, to not give full effort. But if you speak with confidence and conviction, your brain prepares you for action, for resilience, and for performance under pressure. This is why athletes talk to themselves before a game, why speakers rehearse positive lines before going on stage, why leaders, even when nervous, say things like, "I've got this," even if it's just a whisper. Because the mind believes your voice. It doesn't know if what you're saying is real or imagined. It only knows that repetition builds belief. Think about how powerful that is. You have the ability to influence your own mind with your own voice, and yet so many people waste this power by repeating negative phrases like, "I can't do this," "I always fail," or "this is too hard for me." Those words aren't harmless. They shape your confidence, your emotional state, your expectations, and ultimately your outcomes. You can't plant the seeds of doubt and expect to reap the fruits of confidence. Your voice is like a GPS system. If you constantly tell it you're lost, it will keep rerouting you in circles. But if you speak with clarity, if you tell it where you want to go, what you believe about yourself and what you are committed to, it will begin to guide you in that direction. And the more often you speak those words, the stronger that guidance becomes. This is not about positive thinking for the sake of sounding upbeat. This is about understanding the relationship between your words and your brain. When you say, "I am strong," your mind starts recalling moments of strength. When you say, "I am a problem solver," your brain goes to work finding creative solutions. When you say, "I can't," it doesn't argue. It simply stops trying. So speak with intention. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to someone you love, someone you believe in. Because if your voice is going to shape your mind, let it be one that builds you up, not one that tears you down. You don't need the world to believe in you before you start. You need you to believe in you. And that starts with what you say to yourself every single day, because the mind believes your voice. Most people wait for motivation to come from the outside through applause, support, recognition, or encouragement from others. But the truth is, the most powerful motivation is the one that comes from within. When you learn to talk to yourself, to become your own source of strength and encouragement, you stop depending on other people to validate you. You no longer wait for someone to tell you you're good enough. You begin to tell yourself that you are, and that internal voice becomes your fuel. It pushes you when no one else is watching. It lifts you when no one else is cheering. And it keeps you going when others give up. You will never become your highest self if you're always waiting for someone else to speak life into you. Motivation that depends on others is temporary. One day people will praise you, and the next they might ignore you. One moment you'll be surrounded by support, and the next you could be walking alone. If your drive comes from others, then your effort, your energy, and your belief will fluctuate based on circumstances you can't control. But when motivation comes from within, when you talk to yourself with courage and clarity, then your commitment remains consistent, even in silence. Learning to motivate yourself through self-talk is a habit that requires intention. It's about waking up and choosing to speak purpose into your day before anyone else does. It's looking in the mirror and saying, "I've got what it takes," even if yesterday felt like a failure. It's reminding yourself that you have a vision, a goal, a reason why you started, and it still matters. Motivation from within isn't loud. It doesn't need to be shouted, but it needs to be real, and it needs to be yours. There will be days when no one claps for you, no one sends a message, no one notices your effort. Those are not the days you quit. Those are the days you must speak to yourself louder. That's when you say, keep going. You're building something. Your work matters. Because the truth is, your destiny is too important to be left in the hands of people's opinions. The future you want is shaped by what you do in the quiet, unseen moments. And those actions are often born from what you tell yourself in the dark. This kind of self-motivation isn't about being delusional or pretending everything is perfect. It's about being real with yourself and choosing to keep showing up anyway, even when you're tired, even when you're doubting, even when nothing seems to be working. You remind yourself of what's possible. You speak hope when your heart feels heavy. You declare progress even when all you see is a small step forward. Because that's how winners are built. Not in the noise, but in the silence. You talk to yourself with belief, with encouragement, with fire. You activate something within you that external applause can't reach. You begin to walk with a different posture. You begin to carry a sense of purpose that doesn't need to be confirmed by others. And as you keep doing it, your inner voice becomes your inner power. It becomes the most consistent source of motivation you'll ever have. So don't wait for someone to tell you you're capable. Don't wait for approval to start. Don't wait for the perfect moment to begin. Speak to yourself. Motivate yourself. Encourage yourself. Because you are the one who will live with your choices, your efforts, and your results. Make sure your voice is pushing you forward. There is something profoundly powerful about the way you speak to yourself. It is the most direct conversation you'll have every day. When no one else is around, when you are alone with your thoughts, the words you use shape your reality. These words hold the power to either build you up or tear you down. They can either set you on a path to success or keep you trapped in cycles of doubt and fear. But what if you could take control of that internal conversation? What if, instead of allowing your thoughts to be filled with negativity, fear, or self-doubt, you consciously chose to speak to yourself with the same kindness, encouragement, and belief you would give to someone you deeply care about? Talking to yourself with intention is not about pretending everything is perfect. It's not about ignoring your flaws or avoiding challenges. It's about recognizing the immense power in your words and choosing to use them to support your growth. Every word you speak to yourself is like a seed that gets planted in your subconscious. Over time, these seeds grow into beliefs, behaviors, and outcomes. So when you consistently tell yourself, I am capable, I am worthy, and I can overcome challenges, you are planting seeds of strength and possibility. But when you repeatedly tell yourself, I can't, I'm not good enough, or I always fail, you are planting seeds of limitation and fear. The impact of self-talk goes beyond just feelings. Your brain is wired to believe what you tell it, and it works to find evidence to support what you believe. If you constantly tell yourself you are incapable, your brain will find proof of every mistake, every failure, and every limitation you've ever experienced. It will ignore the successes, the progress, and the moments where you've shown strength and resilience. However, when you speak to yourself with affirmation and self-belief, your brain shifts its focus. It looks for ways to prove that you are capable, that you can overcome, and that you are worthy of success. Talking to yourself with encouragement doesn't mean ignoring the obstacles in your life. It doesn't mean pretending that challenges don't exist. What it does mean is that in the face of difficulty, you choose to focus on your strengths, your potential, and your ability to rise above. It means that you acknowledge the difficulties, but you don't allow them to define your worth or your future. You remind yourself, I've been through tough times before, and I'm still standing. I have the strength to get through this. We are all our own worst critics. We judge ourselves more harshly than anyone else ever could. But imagine if, instead of criticizing yourself, you chose to be your biggest supporter. Imagine speaking to yourself with compassion, patience, and understanding. What would happen if you stopped berating yourself for mistakes and started offering solutions? What if you stopped telling yourself that you're not good enough and started saying, I am learning and growing every day? The truth is, your growth and progress are not linear. Success isn't achieved by never failing, it's achieved by learning to keep going even after failure. And the only way to keep going is to believe in your ability to rise after every setback. The way to build that belief is through positive, supportive self-talk. Self-talk can change your entire perspective on life. It shifts your mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. It transforms your view from seeing challenges as insurmountable walls to viewing them as opportunities for growth and learning. It makes you realize that you are not defined by the mistakes you've made, but by the choices you make every single day. When you choose to speak to yourself with encouragement, you begin to see possibilities where you once saw limitations. You begin to take action with confidence, even when the outcome is uncertain, because you trust yourself. You trust your ability to figure things out, to overcome challenges, and to keep moving forward no matter what. The way you talk to yourself is the key to unlocking your full potential. You have the power to shape your reality with your words. So choose them wisely. Speak to yourself as though you are already the person you want to become. Affirm your strengths, your potential, and your ability to achieve great things. Because when you do, you are not just talking to yourself. You are building the future you deserve. Every single day, your mind is speaking to you. The voice inside your head is constantly narrating your life. What you can do, what you can't do, how others perceive you, and how you perceive yourself. What many people don't realize is that this inner dialogue is not simply background noise, it's programming. It's shaping your thoughts, your emotions, your confidence, and your decisions. That's why it is so crucial to become aware of your self-talk and consciously use it as a tool to reinforce confidence and positive identity. If you let that voice run unchecked, it can become your greatest obstacle. But if you train it with intention, it becomes your most loyal ally. Confidence is not something people are born with. It's something that is developed, nurtured, and sustained by consistent reinforcement. And that reinforcement starts with how you talk to yourself. Every time you say, I can handle this, you are building confidence. Every time you remind yourself, I have what it takes, you are reinforcing a positive identity. These are not just feel-good phrases. They are cognitive affirmations that program your brain to see yourself as strong, capable, and prepared. The problem is that too many people allow their inner voice to be critical, judgmental, and harsh. You make a mistake, and instead of learning from it, you attack yourself with thoughts like, "I'm so stupid," or "I always mess things up." These aren't harmless words. They become patterns. They chip away at your self-belief, and over time you begin to accept them as truth. But what if you stopped letting your inner voice bully you? What if you chose to speak to yourself with the same grace you would offer a loved one? You wouldn't call your best friend a failure for trying and falling short. You would encourage them. You would remind them of their strengths. That's the kind of voice you need to develop for yourself. Positive self-talk doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to see the situation through a lens of self-trust and possibility. It means replacing thoughts like, "I can't do this," with, "This is difficult, but I'm learning." It's about shifting from self-doubt to self-support. And as simple as that sounds, it's one of the most powerful shifts you can make in your life. Confidence is a reflection of the story you tell yourself about who you are. If your story is full of fear, inadequacy, and regret, then your confidence will be fragile. But if your story is grounded in resilience, growth, and effort, your confidence becomes unshakable. And it starts with words. Tell yourself, "I am someone who keeps showing up." Tell yourself, "I have come a long way and I'm not done growing." Tell yourself, "I am becoming stronger every day." When you say those words enough times, they don't just stay in your head, they shape your actions. They change the way you show up in the world. Talking to yourself positively is not about ego, it's about identity. It's about deciding who you want to be and speaking to yourself in alignment with that vision. And even when your external circumstances don't yet match your inner vision, your self-talk keeps you moving forward. It reminds you that setbacks are temporary, that growth is ongoing, and that belief is built one thought at a time. So be intentional with your words. Speak to yourself as someone who is evolving, learning, and becoming. Catch the negative thoughts, challenge them, and replace them with truth. The truth that you are capable. The truth that you are worthy. The truth that your best days are still ahead of you. Because when your inner voice becomes your greatest cheerleader, there is no limit to what you can achieve. One of the most overlooked principles of personal growth is the power of intention. Intention isn't just about having a goal. It's about directing your energy, focus, and mindset with purpose. And the most effective way to build and reinforce your intentions is through self-talk. What you say to yourself every day sets the tone for how you show up, how you act, and how you respond to challenges. Talking to yourself with intention means that you are no longer living by accident. You are living by design. You are shaping your internal world to influence your external outcomes. Imagine waking up each morning and the first voice you hear is your own, reminding you of who you are and what you are committed to. Today I choose to be patient. Today I commit to growth. Today I will not allow fear to control my decisions. These aren't just motivational phrases, they are mental anchors. They set the course for your behavior, and over time they begin to rewire your brain to operate from a place of strength and clarity. The truth is, most people walk through life with no intentional self-talk at all. They let their thoughts wander aimlessly, and those thoughts are often filled with fear, self-doubt, and worry. Without even realizing it, they rehearse failure. They visualize worst-case scenarios. They tell themselves they aren't good enough, and then they wonder why they lack motivation or courage. But you are not most people. You have the opportunity to rise above that by speaking to yourself with conviction and clarity. Intentional self-talk allows you to create a personal environment where belief can thrive even when the world outside is uncertain. The mind is like a garden. If you don't plant seeds intentionally, weeds will grow on their own. When you don't choose your thoughts, the world will choose them for you. But when you take control of your inner dialogue, you plant seeds of purpose. You begin to take ownership of your direction. You start aligning your daily habits with your long-term vision. And it all begins with words. Words you say in the privacy of your own mind. Talking to yourself with intention also helps you manage distractions and stay centered. In a world full of noise, it's easy to get pulled in different directions. But when you have a personal script, an inner language built on purpose, you remain focused. When stress shows up, you can calmly remind yourself, I've prepared for this. I know how to handle pressure. When failure knocks, you say, this setback is part of the process. I will rise again. These simple phrases ground you. They guide you back to what matters. Another powerful benefit of intentional self-talk is emotional regulation. Your emotions are often a response to your thoughts, and your thoughts are shaped by what you say to yourself. When your internal voice is reactive, you feel unstable. But when your self-talk is deliberate, you develop emotional strength. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding with wisdom. You train your mind to pause, reflect, and choose words that uplift and realign you with your values. You are the author of your identity, and your words are your tools. Every day, you are either building yourself up or tearing yourself down with what you say. So choose your words with care. Let your self-talk reflect your goals, your character, and your highest standard. Don't just talk to yourself when things go wrong. Talk to yourself every day with purpose and create a mental environment where greatness can grow. Because the person who speaks with intention is the person who lives with direction. And when your direction is clear, your potential has no limit. Talking to yourself is not just about self-motivation or keeping your spirits up. It's about mastering your focus. In a world that is constantly trying to pull your attention in 100 different directions, the ability to control your focus is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Your focus determines what you give energy to, what you invest in, and what you create. And the way you talk to yourself either sharpens that focus or scatters it. When your self-talk is intentional and consistent, it helps you block out distractions and keep your mind aligned with your goals. You see, your brain is always listening. Every word you say to yourself is a signal, an instruction. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't concentrate, or there's too much going on, your mind will follow that direction. You'll feel overwhelmed, you'll procrastinate, you'll lose clarity. But if you tell yourself, I am focused on what matters right now, or I eliminate what's not helping me grow, you begin to command your attention. You're not at the mercy of your environment. You're leading it with the power of your own voice. Focus is not just a matter of discipline. It's a byproduct of inner dialogue. When you talk to yourself in a way that prioritizes clarity, you start to cut out the noise. You start to see what's essential and what's a distraction. Every moment you choose to say, I don't need to respond to everything, or I am committed to this one task until it's done, you are building mental strength. And that strength compounds. You begin to realize how much time and energy you save when you stop engaging with things that don't serve your purpose. This doesn't mean you won't get distracted. It means you'll recover faster. It means you'll recognize when your attention has drifted, and you'll have the internal tools to bring it back. Self-talk becomes your inner compass. It becomes the voice that says, come back, refocus, Your goal is still ahead. Most people allow distractions to hijack their day and their energy. But you can train yourself to think differently. You can decide that your attention is sacred and that no one else gets to control it unless you allow them to. Think about how often people get derailed by things that don't matter in the long run. They focus on criticism, gossip, fear, and comparison. They let outside voices become louder than their own, and slowly they lose track of their goals. They stop making progress. But the people who rise, the ones who stay the course, are those who have learned to talk to themselves in moments of temptation. They say, that's not for me. I have something greater I'm building. That kind of inner dialogue is what sets the focused apart from the distracted. You were never meant to give your attention to everything. Your time is limited. Your energy is valuable, so train yourself to be mindful of what you're feeding your mind. Use your self-talk as a filter. When doubts creep in, respond with clarity. When opportunities show up that aren't aligned with your vision, respectfully decline. Your focus is your power, and your words protect that power, so speak with intention. Guard your attention. Remind yourself daily of what truly matters, because in a distracted world, the focused individual becomes unstoppable. Confidence is not something you're born with. It's something you build. And one of the most powerful tools to build it is the way you talk to yourself. Every single day, you're either reinforcing belief in your own abilities or quietly tearing yourself down. The words you speak internally shape how you carry yourself, how you face challenges, and how you respond to failure. Self-talk, when done intentionally and positively, becomes the foundation for unshakable confidence. It's not about arrogance. It's not about pretending. It's about choosing to believe in yourself even when things feel uncertain. Most people assume that confidence comes from success, but in reality, confidence often precedes success. It's the belief that you are capable even before you have proof. And where does that belief come from? It comes from repetition. It comes from the quiet, consistent voice inside you that says, I've got this. I can figure it out. I may not be there yet, but I'm on the right path. That kind of internal messaging creates mental momentum. It fuels action. It replaces fear with focus. The more you repeat it, the more real it becomes, not just in your mind, but in your behavior. You will never outperform your self-picture. If you constantly tell yourself you're not smart enough, not skilled enough, not worthy enough, your brain will believe it. Your actions will reflect it, and opportunities will slip through your fingers, not because you weren't capable, but because you talked yourself out of trying. On the other hand, when you speak to yourself with respect, when you tell yourself, I belong in this room, or I can learn what I don't, you start to show up differently. You take up space. You stop shrinking in the presence of others. You stop waiting for permission to grow. Confidence isn't loud. It's not about proving anything to others. True confidence is quiet assurance. It's the peace of knowing who you are and what you bring to the table. And that peace begins with internal language. What do you say to yourself when no one's listening? What's the tone of your inner dialogue when things don't go as planned? That's where confidence is built, in the silence, in the unseen moments. It's the decision to speak life over yourself, even when your circumstances don't reflect it yet. Every setback is a test of your self-talk. When you fall, do you say, I knew I'd fail? Or do you say, this is part of the process? I'll get stronger from this. When someone doubts you, do you internalize it, or do you say, their opinion doesn't define me? Confidence means choosing your voice over the voices around you. It means training yourself to focus on your potential, not your past. It means you build your identity from within, not based on what others think you can or can't do. Over time, your words become your reality. When you consistently speak encouragement to yourself, you start to carry yourself differently. You stand taller. You take more chances. You stop over-explaining and over-apologizing. You trust your instincts. You walk into rooms with presence. Why? Because you've developed a habit of backing yourself. And the people who back themselves are the ones others eventually follow. So talk to yourself like someone who is growing, like someone who is learning, like someone who is worthy. Confidence isn't gifted, it's cultivated. And every word you speak to yourself is a step closer to the person you're becoming. Don't wait for others to validate you. Don't rely on outside praise to believe in your worth. Speak belief into yourself daily. The stronger your inner voice, the less dependent you become on the world's approval. And that's when real confidence begins. When you think about motivation, it's easy to imagine it as something external, something that comes from outside forces like praise, rewards, or circumstances aligning perfectly. But the truth is, motivation is largely an internal process. And one of the most powerful ways to cultivate it is through the conversations you have with yourself. Your self-talk can either fuel your drive or drain it. It can keep you moving forward or make you want to give up. Understanding how to use your inner dialogue as a motivational tool changes everything about how you approach challenges and pursue your goals. Motivation is not just about feeling inspired in a fleeting moment. It's about creating a steady, lasting energy that carries you through setbacks, boredom, and distractions. And your self-talk is the engine that runs this energy. When you regularly remind yourself why your goals matter, why you started, and what you're capable of, you build a mental reservoir of determination. You create a mindset that refuses to settle for less than what you envision for your life. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's a deliberate choice to use your words to keep your spirit engaged. One key to unlocking this power is to make your self-talk specific and personal. Instead of vague affirmations like, "I can do this," say something like, "I am capable of solving this problem because I have overcome challenges before." This kind of focused self-talk connects your motivation to real evidence in your life and builds confidence. It's like giving yourself proof in advance that you can succeed. You remind your brain of your strengths, which motivates you to keep pushing even when the road gets tough. Another important aspect is how you respond to failure or setbacks through self-talk. Many people let failure extinguish their motivation by telling themselves, "I'm not good enough," or "This is too hard." But motivated self-talk doesn't ignore failure, it acknowledges it and reframes it. You might say, "This setback is a sign that I need to adjust my approach, not quit." Or "Every failure is a step closer to success." This way, your internal voice becomes a coach rather than a critic. It pushes you forward instead of pulling you down. Consistency is also crucial. Motivation can fade if it relies solely on emotions or external factors. But when you practice intentional self-talk regularly, it becomes a habit that sustains you. Over time, this habit rewires your brain to expect persistence and effort as normal. You no longer need a big event or an external trigger to feel motivated. Your own words keep you moving. You train yourself to turn to your internal dialogue whenever you feel doubt creeping in, and that builds resilience. It's also important to be mindful of negative self-talk patterns that sabotage motivation. These patterns often come disguised as realistic thinking, but they quietly undermine your drive. Phrases like, "I'll never be able to do this," or "I always mess up," create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Recognizing these patterns is the first step to changing them. Replace them with motivating, empowering statements. Instead of "I can't," say, "I'm learning and improving every day." Instead of "It's too hard," say, "Challenges help me grow stronger." The way you talk to yourself also influences your energy levels. Motivating self-talk tends to increase enthusiasm and a sense of possibility. It primes your mind to look for opportunities and solutions rather than obstacles and excuses. This mental shift is essential for sustained effort. When you believe in your ability to succeed, you're more willing to take risks and push beyond comfort zones. Your self-talk becomes a source of courage as well as motivation. Finally, remember that motivation is deeply connected to purpose. Your self-talk should always reflect your why. When you remind yourself of the bigger picture, the reason behind your goals, you connect with a deeper source of motivation that transcends temporary feelings or external circumstances. Statements like, "I am working hard to create a better life for my family," or "My efforts contribute to a cause greater than myself," create powerful emotional anchors. These anchors fuel your persistence when motivation wanes. In essence, your self-talk is the steering wheel for your motivation. It directs your energy, shapes your mindset, and determines how you respond to obstacles. By speaking to yourself with intention, encouragement, and clarity, you build an internal environment where motivation thrives. You become the driver of your own journey, empowered to move forward regardless of external conditions. The words you say to yourself today are the foundation for the victories you will celebrate tomorrow. The way you speak to yourself shapes your self-esteem more than almost any other factor in your life. Self-esteem is the foundation of how you value yourself, your abilities, and your worthiness of happiness and success. And much of that foundation is laid down in the private conversations you have inside your mind. When your self-talk is positive, supportive, and kind, it nurtures a strong self-esteem. But when it is harsh, critical, or dismissive, it chips away at your sense of self-worth, often without you even realizing it. Self-esteem is not about being perfect or never making mistakes. It's about recognizing that you deserve respect and kindness from yourself, regardless of flaws or setbacks. And the language you use with yourself directly influences how you see your own value. If you habitually tell yourself things like, "I'm not good enough," "I always mess things up," or "I don't deserve success," you're reinforcing a negative identity. You're teaching your brain to accept a diminished version of yourself as truth. Over time, this weakens your confidence and limits your ability to pursue your goals. Conversely, when you practice positive self-talk that affirms your worth, you begin to internalize a healthier self-image. Saying things like, "I am enough just as I am," "I am worthy of love and success," or "I am capable of growth and change," helps your mind build a more accurate and compassionate view of yourself. This doesn't mean ignoring areas where you can improve. It means approaching yourself with respect and encouragement as you learn and grow. The result is a self-esteem that is resilient and empowering. The power of self-talk on self-esteem is also evident in how you handle criticism from others and yourself. When your internal dialogue is strong and positive, you are less likely to be crushed by negative feedback. Instead, you can listen objectively, learn where necessary, and discard what isn't helpful without taking it personally. Your self-talk becomes a shield that protects you from the damaging effects of harsh judgments and comparison. It reminds you that your worth is not tied to external approval, but rooted in who you are as a person. Low self-esteem often leads to self-sabotage, where you unconsciously create obstacles to your own success because you don't believe you deserve it. Negative self-talk feeds this pattern by reinforcing doubts and fears. Breaking free from this cycle starts with awareness. Notice the critical thoughts that arise and challenge them with positive, truthful statements. This practice gradually rewires your brain to focus on your strengths and possibilities rather than limitations and failures. Positive self-talk also encourages self-compassion, which is vital for healthy self-esteem. Life is full of challenges, mistakes, and imperfections. How you respond to your own failures shapes your ability to bounce back and keep going. When your self-talk is compassionate, you treat yourself like you would a close friend, with patience, understanding, and kindness. You acknowledge your struggles without harsh judgment, and you motivate yourself gently to do better next time. This kind of supportive inner voice fosters emotional resilience and confidence. Moreover, strong self-esteem influenced by positive self-talk affects every area of your life, from relationships and career to health and personal growth. When you believe in your worth, you set healthier boundaries, pursue goals with more determination, and attract opportunities that align with your values. You become more willing to take risks because you trust in your ability to handle outcomes, whether success or failure. Your inner dialogue empowers you to act in ways that reflect your true potential. It's important to remember that building self-esteem through self-talk is a process, not an instant fix. Old negative patterns can be deeply ingrained, and changing them requires consistency and patience. Start by paying attention to your internal dialogue throughout the day. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, pause and reframe the thought into something positive and affirming. Over time, these small shifts create a new habit of self-talk that supports and uplifts you. The way you talk to yourself is one of the most influential factors in building and maintaining healthy self-esteem. It shapes your identity, influences how you handle criticism and setbacks, and determines how you value your own worth. By consciously choosing positive, kind, and empowering self-talk, you nurture a resilient self-esteem that opens doors to greater happiness, success, and fulfillment. Your inner voice is a powerful ally. Make it a source of strength and encouragement every day.